Hey, hey, how's it going, everyone? Um, I can see quite a few familiar faces here. Super excited today. Rishabh Pant scored a century, and I'm in Ahmedabad at the moment. Was watching the cricket and really excited for day three tomorrow. Passion of mine has always been sports, so um, yeah, good to see Team India take on a strong position and yeah, excited for this conversation that's going to come up with Ravi Toshniwal from Banswara Syntex on the live. Just waiting for a few more folks to join, and we'll get started in a couple of minutes. Hey, Satvik, thanks for the question on new products. We just launched a ton of new products. Have you checked out the new chinos? We have lightweight bi-stretch summer chinos, cool colors. I like the rose shadow. And you can also see some really cool colors on, oh, yeah. Trying to get Banswara Syntax onto the live as a participant here. Seem to be struggling to do that. Oh, there we go. Hey, how's it going, Ravi? Ravi, can't see your
Yeah,
camera. Can we get you in the whole center of the frame, please?
yeah, I'm trying to do that. Hi, nice to be here with you guys at the Pant Project.
A little lower on the frame would be better. And that's good. That's really good. And
Okay.
can we make sure we can hear sound? Someone in the audience who's listening in, Satvik, can you let us know if you can hear us clearly?
Hi, can you hear me?
Guys, just give us a thumbs up or give us a all good or something in the comments.
Good.
Seems to be
Kaustubh
good.
can
There
hear
we
us
go. We get a
well.
thumbs
Yeah.
up from Kosnab. So looks like we're ready to go. As usual, we're going to do these lives super high energy. We're lucky to have you here. Everyone listening in, my father, Ravi Toshniwal, on the live. He's managing director of Banswara Syntex. Dad, you want to start telling everyone a little bit about Banswara first and, the association with the Pant Project. And then we can talk a little bit more about the fabrics and innovation in fabric, and we can also talk about sustainability. Can we also try to keep the camera still and not
Yeah.
moving so that it's recorded for YouTube after, so we can actually
Sure.
publish it on YouTube?
Great. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and I'll just give you a little bit of a history, but not of Banswara Syntax, more relevant to what is really happening with the Pant project. I want to share with you that our association with the Pant business really began way back about 25 years ago with a brand called Dockers from Levi Strauss. And we were then recruited by them to make a fabric which they wanted for a pro style pant, and they said the fabric needs to be four-way stretch, it needs to be water repellent, it needs to wash all the stains off easily, and be a sort of pro style fabric that would perform excellently and have
And this
good
is this is
comfort.
way back in the 1990s, right?
Yes, I'm talking about close to 25, 30 years ago almost. Yeah.
Wow.
So we were talking about, I think, late 90s, late
Late
90s.
90s,
Yeah.
Levi Strauss, Dockers brand, first clients of Banswara for pants in the export market, right?
Correct. So we then developed a fabric for them, which was a bi-stretch polyviscose fabric way back then, and we used chemistry in it, which allowed performance to happen on the fabric as well. And they were really happy with it and decided to make a nationwide campaign for the Pro Style pant. And just to share with everyone that when you make a great pant, it sells and sells forever. So even now, after 25 years, we continue to make that fabric for them. And there are still diehard addicts of the fabric who continue to buy this even after 25 years. So
Wow, let
this
me
is
get that
something
straight.
about
You are selling the same fabric to Levi's in the US for 25 years because it's just that good.
absolutely 25 years in a row, and it didn't even stop in the pandemic.
And
Of
you want
course,
to
the
tell me a little
volumes
bit
went
about
down.
how in those 25 years, though, the performance aspect of pants, and right now it's so relevant with athleisure. How is the performance aspect and the chemical finishes? And talk to me, you're a chemical engineer from IIT, is that right?
Yes, that's what I did, but I don't say that I am actually a chemical engineer because I never worked as one. So, I mean, it would be wrong to think of me as a chemical engineer, but I definitely have a lot of experience applying my mind to what we could do to create fabrics that would be relevant for the pant business. And so we did this for several brands across the years. We worked for Gap, we worked for tailored pants, we worked across different categories of pants that went through occasions that one has in life, which may be, events and ceremonial, or it may be just casual and comfortable. It may be a holiday pant, it may be for different occasions. And we kept making different kinds of fabric that would suit these occasions across the year. So, I mean, it's been a great journey, and we've loved producing these fabrics. And when the Pant Project started saying that we will do mass customization and create an affordable fit, so we really love this idea about the fit of the pant being made by the e-tailer, and by just asking a few questions as to which pants the customer buys and where does he wear them, and a few more informations that they ask for you, and they get the fit right. And
Yeah,
I think they
so
get the fit
fit is
right.
something I definitely want to talk about. Before we delve into fit, firstly, I want to give the audience chance to ask questions. Guys, if you have any questions for Ravi about Banswara Syntex, about fabric, he's a fabric expert. He's been doing it for the better part of more than 30 years now. Please ask him. And let's first, close out the conversation on fabrics. In terms of types of fabrics, is Banswara a specialist in any kind of fabric? And where does Banswara differentiate itself in a fabric perspective?
So we've always believed that all fabrics should have stretch. And this is something where we specialize in, because we believe that a fabric that is rigid and doesn't have stretch really doesn't give you any comfort. And it's not something which we promote a lot. We tend to promote fabrics that will adapt to your body and
And
will
is it
have
easy
some
to
give.
tailor these fabrics with stretch? I'd imagine there's some technical changes to a fabric with stretch without. So can you talk a little bit about tailoring fabrics for stretch?
Well, so I mean, this has been evolving over the years, but as you can see that it's not so new. Levi's had learned how to tailor fabrics with stretch way back in the 90s. And this thing with most modern factories, they've adapted the sewing machines and they've adapted techniques that are needed by the tailors in those factories to be able to handle stretch fabrics. What has not happened in India is that stretch fabrics are not easily adopted by the local tailor around the corner, because he doesn't have the sophistication or understanding of what needs to be done to relax the fabric and to change the settings on the machine and the needle and everything that is needed in terms of how he feeds the fabric in, and it's a more delicate fabric to
And
handle.
that's a
So
really good point, because in the Pant Project we employ artisans and we employ local tailors, but we train them with machines and technology and empower them with technology so that there's a
correct.
standardization to the process and there's a repeatability on every alteration, and there's a customer relationship management tool and software giving you data so that you make pants based on data to fit well. Um, you were talking to me last week about this relationship between the tailor and the customer and how we can empower it through technology. You want to share with the audience a little bit on your ideas on what challenges here and how Pant Project could think about going about doing this from a back end perspective?
Well, so I mean, I really see this whole pandemic as having been something that enabled remote technology to work without you actually having to visit a shop. So here we are, where you are the e-tailer, and you're going to be asked a few questions and being told to take a few measurements in a particular way, and then that information is going to be used by your tailor to produce a pant for you. But the tailor pretty much is one person who will make the whole pant with using a few different machines. So eventually, when he gets the whole pant together, this tailor can put in his name into the pant, and pack it for you, and you can record that this man made the pant for this particular customer. And the next time, it may not be the same person, But in case the customer was very happy with the fit, maybe that tailor who is there, who's the new one making it, can go across to the old guy and say, what did you do right for this guy? He was so happy with the feedback. So he can replicate the same thing, but he's a different person who does it. But in any case, you will have all of this CRMs and different kinds of softwares available. And if necessary, you can even interface that tailor with the customer if there's a complaint. And you could have a Zoom conference, or you could have a chat
Nice.
between the
Yeah,
tailor
yeah.
and the customer. And you could really
And
create a bonding which
I
happens. And you should actually pay your tailor more if your customer is happy for him.
We're
So
happy to
that's
do that.
something.
Yeah, we may even someday have our customers be able to tip our tailors. This is something we've thought about, and we definitely value, having our tailors good. Satvik Kalekar asks the question, are the fittings perfect? Satvik, they may not be perfect the first time. If we don't get it right the first time, we do offer free alterations. And I can tell you 90% or more of our clients are happy with their pants the first time. And the 10% that need an alteration, we do it, and usually by the time they receive the pant that's altered, it fits them well. And on repeat orders, then it's quite easy for us to get it right. So hope that answers your question on the fittings. You want to add anything there, Ravi, on the fittings being perfect, or how we can think of improving that process?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest advantage you have is that, again, you are using a lot of the fabrics that have stretch in them. So most of them, if you have a few which are rigid, but you still have an elasticated kind of a waistband and a possibility to have some give in the fabric and in the way that you tailor it, so that even if you have the fit wrong by about half an inch, it really doesn't matter, and it should fit the customer anyway pretty well. So this is the inherent DNA behind how you are engineering your product and the kind of raw materials you're using for it that allow you to get the fit right mostly. And
Right.
this is really the secret behind how you can satisfy more customers first time.
Right, right. Can you tell me a little bit about, Banswara and some of the challenges you faced scaling this business? And then we'll get to a question that, Ashna's asked over there, but some of the challenges you faced scaling this business. Or maybe first we'll do the question, then we'll get back to the challenges because that's related to this fits topic.
Yes.
Ashna's, are we moving towards using technology to predict our measurements? And what are your thoughts on AI or using algorithms here and technology to predict fit better?
Well, I mean, see, we're looking at various things that have happened. There's a company called Tuka Tech, which is a California-based company that is really using predictive AI measurements to get the fit right and creating a digital 3D avatar of each person once they have the measurements of the person. So, you will have different touch points in which you will get measurements over the history of the customer. So in a way, you will, once you've fitted a customer and he's happy with your fit, you could reverse engineer a dummy and a digital 3D avatar of that customer. And once you do that, you're able to, find a way to let the customer see different pants and different fits on his avatar. So if
Right.
you can create that, it'll give a visual
There's, apart
demonstration to
from
the
Tukatech,
customer.
there's another interesting company called Superfan.ai that we're looking
Hmm.
at. And there's a
Hmm.
host of solutions here that can help you get a digital avatar of a client and figure out how a pant fits them better. So I think definitely it's an area that's interesting.
So the big challenge here will be how good is the avatar representation to the reality, and
And
this is something where you
talk to
will
me a
have
little
to
bit about the
adjust your
touch and feel
software.
element. How do you convey the touch and feel element, digitally? And does the brand need an omni-channel strategy? Some experienced showrooms and physical retail. You've obviously seen physical retail struggling a lot. Your clients have a lot of physical shops, and you know how difficult it has been post-COVID to operate a shop profitably. What are your thoughts on, touch and feel of fabric being so important at the same time, digital models and physical models?
I mean, so this is something where nobody yet in technology has been able to come up with the right way to digitally convey the touch and feel aspect. But you do get a sense of the drape of the fabric in the 3D avatar. So as the 3D avatar is walking around with that particular fabric and model of the pant, you'll see how it flows. what you'll get an idea visually of how it flows. But the touch part is something which the customer will tell you when he receives it. Always the touch should be sensually pleasing. So your job is to always make sure that that is good. The touch has to be soft and it has to be nice. It can't be harsh. It can't be something which is going to cause skin rashes or anything like that. So you have to be sure the product has been tested to be dermatologically good, to have all the necessary characteristics in it, which will be visually and aesthetically both appealing to the touch and the color. Right? So even color management is difficult to see on the screen fully. But I think for a brand like yours, it's a question of the customer receiving a few pants and giving you feedback. And for you to work off that feedback to keep giving him more for different occasions that he may need of that similar feel and touch and fit.
Great. That's awesome. We got a request from Shilpa to be in our live video. Shilpa, what would you like to share? Send me a note here. Normally we schedule these, but if you'd like to come on, let me know what you want to share and maybe we'll let you in. Okay, Ravi, you also wanted to talk to us, for a lot of our clients, sustainable, organic, the climate change problem is becoming increasingly relevant. Firstly, what is Banswara doing to tackle this? And, what in the fabric making process do you feel can be done better to be greener as a mill?
Yeah, so this is the next challenge in the whole world. How do we control global warming? And how every company and every person is trying to be a bit more accountable in terms of his carbon footprint. And, this is something where we have to use the raw materials. We have to make sure that those raw materials allow us to have less carbon footprint. For this, we use recycled materials, and we try to use organic cotton. We use recycled polyester that comes from PET bottles, and we use sustainable viscose that comes from a canopy cover agreement that allows the forests to be replanted and have the same kind of green cover while their wood is being harvested for the viscose or the cellulose. So, these are from the raw material part. From the energy part, we are reducing the amount of energy we need to make a particular meter of fabric. We're trying to use less water to make a particular meter of fabric. And this is something which is an ongoing effort which will continue. To use cleaner energy, to use solar, to slowly reduce your carbon footprint. Because, like Bill Gates is saying, we've got 53 billion tons per year of CO2 gases that we have to reduce.
That's a lot.
And we've got to do this. We got to do this by 2050. And there's
the pandemic has definitely helped us. There's been so much less consumption and so much less flying that I think we've already accelerated our path to carbon.
Yeah, but production is responsible, I think, probably only for 17 to 19% of the total greenhouse emissions.
Right.
Otherwise, it's also transportation, what you plug in.
Yeah, the entire supply chain.
And different aspects of how the carbon footprint is created, how you travel, and all of those. So one of the things we also promote is train travel rather than fly. So we're waiting for this whole system to get regularized, but a lot of our people are now traveling between Bombay and Banswara, always by train. And this helps.
And you yourself, how do you get to work some days? If it's a winter morning in Bombay.
So some days I just use the bicycle, and it's fun to be able to bicycle in Bombay in the mornings. And except for the monsoons, it's always a challenge. But otherwise, it's easy enough in Bombay to be able to cycle to work early in the morning and come back to home in the evening. So these are things which you can do, but the product that we make has to continuously strive to be made with less of a carbon footprint, and we will hold ourselves accountable on the Higgs index with certification to do this, and we're trying to set science-based targets to achieve this for the product that we make.
Yeah, I know you guys work with Vivek Gilani and Sea Balance. It's a global Ashoka Fellow, Vivek Gilani, and they work with the Geneva Convention. And
Vivek is very tough on us. Vivek is very tough on us, and he never gives an inch in terms of the fact that we have to be honest and we have to be diligent in achieving what we are saying we do, and he would never certify we do if we don't.
That's great. Yeah, that's amazing to hear, and that's very forward thinking of the mill to really be so focused on sustainability. So we've talked a bit about fabrics with stretch. We've talked about the relationship with the tailor and the customer. We've talked about technology and how tech can be used to better predict algorithms for sizing. We've talked about sustainability. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience that you think is relevant? This conversation and relationship between Banswara and Pant Project. If not, I have some questions about Banswara being a large company and supporting and challenges growing it as a family business that's professionally run. I know there's some family business entrepreneurs here, and also then about
Okay, but there's one
supporting
more thing
spin-offs and
I want to
startups.
share. Yeah, so I do want to share one more thing, and that is, this inventory light model. Because when you look at sustainability as a whole, you realize that there's so much clothing in the shops that is made for all different sizes, and then all of this inventory is sold at discounts because eventually nobody really wants it at the price that is being sold and is just being tempted to buy it. So the whole production model that is based today on making products without an order is something that is not sustainable. So for me, the Pant Project is a sustainable idea simply because you produce the goods only after there is a confirmed order for it and you have a size. So overall, the amount of inventory that you keep in your system and the dead inventory you have is very little. And this, I think, is a great model for the clothing industry to follow. It means that there will be less on the floor, less discounts, and less kind of challenges on the environment as well. Financially, it makes sense, and it's something which you should continue to do and scale up. And we are hoping and that this can really be a sustainable scale up
Yeah,
in the
a
Pant
question
Project
from
itself.
Ashna here. How do we measure, both this climate and this reduced inventory sort of information? How do we let the customer know the impact they're making by shopping with the Pant Project, instead of shopping with another brand?
Well, this is Vivek Gilani's forte. If you hire him or you hire somebody like that who does the carbon
Yeah,
footprint
it's a good
mapping,
question, Ashna. We'll take it as homework. We'll work on that
yeah.
and get back to you with a response. A question from Satvik here. What are your perspectives of trends, from a fabric and fashion perspective, which you can see as the future of pants?
So I see the future as being of people buying less but buying better. So people want to buy something that really works for them and has an element of personalization. This personalization creates a feeling of ownership towards the product. And you want to know who made it for you. And you want to know that it's been made through ethical methods and ethical means. And the people who made it have been paid well. All of this ties into the fact that you don't need to buy many, many clothes. You need to
And
buy
just a
fewer
question,
clothes.
you think the consumer today is willing to pay extra for ethical manufacturing and willing to pay more and buy less product? Indian consumer?
I think there is a lot of consumers who are
The
willing
Indian
to do
consumer,
that.
not the global one.
No, but if we're speaking of trends, the trend globally or in India is the same. Everyone, as they're becoming more aware, is following the same trend. The trend is definitely and clearly towards consumers being more aware of their impact of buying frivolously. So fast fashion and buying just on the impulse is going to come down. And buying those things that you care about and which you can pass on from one generation to another will improve. We're going to be more thrifty, but we necessarily, overall, our spend may decrease on clothing, but we may spend more per piece and we may
That's
spend more
true. That's
time
true.
to buy what we really want to buy.
So more towards essentials and using things for a longer period of time. You see that as a trend. And the other trend,
I think
I'd like to
using
point
things
out.
that give you joy, using things that give you a feeling that it's been made artisanally, that somebody has put in an effort behind
And that
making that product for
made in
you.
India too as a sentiment is becoming increasingly important, right?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, why would you want to go and buy a cheap made in China product that doesn't fit half the time just because you got a great deal on the price, but then eventually you just picked it up, you wore it once, and then you want to throw it? That at some point will cause a prick in your conscience as
I
to
mean,
what is your impact on the planet.
Yeah, we truly believe that too. We believe the fast fashion model too of, Zara and H&M, where you just buy a lot of product, use it for a short amount of time and throw it away, is dying. And the future is much more like a brand like Uniqlo or, good quality Lululemon, where you use it for many, many years and you're okay to invest in that article of clothing. The other big trend is casuals. I mean, you see people moving to athleisure and, work from home. And do you believe, Banswara is very dependent on the suit market, and a large part of its business is formal tailoring. Do you see, formals still being a part of the man's wardrobe, or do you believe that the
Yeah.
wardrobe is moving to casuals and casuals are where it's at?
Mm, well, I mean, the trend towards casuals, even at work, was increasing even before the pandemic. The pandemic caused us all to move more casual for sure because we weren't going to work. This is not going to last. There will be a resurgence and a pent up demand for a little formal clothing because people do like to dress up on occasions. But by and large, even with formal clothing, people want comfort. So the comfort factor is going to come into formal clothing as well. You don't want to be like a trussed up
So,
turkey
yeah,
feeling uncomfortable.
that's it. Like formal clothing with casual comfort. You see that as an opportunity.
That
And
is
you
definitely
also think,
definitely
as you were
there.
talking about bringing joy, dressing up well. For me, when I'm dressed well at the start of a workday, I feel good about myself, and that's what fashion is about, right? It's about a feeling.
When we're going to get back to more bigger weddings happening, when there's going to be events and conferences all over again, when the world gets back to socializing the way it used to, you're going to see a resurgence and a pent up demand for formal clothing as well. So there'll be dress pants which will come back, and there'll be jackets to be worn and bow ties, and people will
It's
want
nice
to
to see you
indulge.
optimistic about demand coming back. There's a lot of people who are investing heavily in just streetwear, casual wear, athleisure, and definitely that's one trend that's here to stay. But it's not to say that the formal market is dead. Man's wardrobe will always own some part formal, and
Yeah.
that's well invested in. So I think that answers the
There's
question on trends. I see a lot of folks from the direct to consumer brand industry here. I see Sarthak Rastogi from which Huddle, which just doing some amazing work in direct to consumer logged in. And I see Rajiv Nando, which has Lawrence and Mayo eyewear. Amazing brands here. Any questions, guys? Shoot them at us. But you want to talk to us? Banswara has built a brand for itself. It's known across the world for its fabrics, for its innovation, and it keeps coming out with new collections and new design. You want to talk to us about that innovation process? Do you come up with it? How do you co-create, that innovation with your clients? And what's the DNA of Banswara for innovation, and how does that machinery work? That process of design and innovation to come up with, a brand, and then the delivery of that consistently over time to become known for something.
Well, I mean, for us, we always have to have people on the floor in different countries who are able to understand design by symbiosis. Because design is not something that you can understand theoretically. You have to live in that environment. And we know that Europe is the seeding ground of what innovation comes out of in fashion. So we have people who are in Scandinavia, or you have somebody who's in Japan, and you have somebody in France and Germany, and you do the shows and you send people and you travel. So this year has been actually really distressing for us because we've not been able to get feedback from these various markets which we've been using to get trends from. And most of our designers have been all grounded and working from home and working from the office here. So we've created a digital library, and we created digital storyboards and digital mood boards. And we've been sharing these digital mood boards with customers, clipping and cutting and pasting all kinds of images to create different stories. And then we get feedback from the customers as to what they think is right about it and not right. So we created some excitement with these mood boards, but customers are nervous right now. They're nervous on what the trend will be post pandemic. And they're all experimenting rather slowly and cautiously and
When you
buying
say
just what they're
customers here, you
sure.
mean your customers from Banswara, the brands, right? The business to business customers, the big brands like Marks and
All of the big
Spencer,
brands.
Levi's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All of them. They are all
And
experiencing this challenge.
how do you see the consumer though? From one part, it's been a very difficult job market and consumption has been, hit. But another part, people have been living at home, not been traveling as much, not been going out, not been spending as much money. So there's some disposable income. Are you bullish on demand in India and the consumption thesis long term, or you still believe it's a challenging market for years to come?
No, no, it is definitely going to be a resurgence in demand in India. And we're already seeing India having bounced back for demand faster than Europe and the US. In fact, the US and the Europe and UK are still suppressed. And what the markets we found bouncing back are India and Korea and Australia. So, you know, India is going to be a story that is going to be very important for our own growth. And we are looking to have more and more market share, even in the brands that grow in India. So we're really happy to help
Yeah, I
Pant
mean,
Project
you know, with the
along
Pan
that
project, it's
journey.
similar. We're focused on India and we want to be India first. We are a global brand, you know, we ship across the world, but our marketing and our service is really focused to India now because we see such a big opportunity in India. And we think, you know, until that is served, there's no need for us to expand globally and, set up a supply chain to do Europe and the US. And we
Good.
definitely see a shift
We
too from, the US to India and then Japan, Korea being sources for fashion and inspiration.
Very good. So we wish you all the best, and I'm going to have to log off now. So I think we'll
Thank
catch
you for
up
the
some other time.
conversation. Yeah, it was lovely. I think
Yeah.
our
Thank
followers
you.
really enjoyed it, and yeah,
Thank
we'll, we'll
you.
we'll we'll do this
All the
again.
best to the Pan Project. We'll do this again
Thank you.
sometime. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. We just had Ravi with us from the Banswara. I'm going to be with you guys for another couple of minutes. Questions that you may have, for me. I can see Aminda there waving. We miss seeing you, Aminda. She used to come into our factory from Portugal and help us with optimizing our processes and reducing our lead time so we can serve you faster. It typically takes us 10 to 14 days to get a pair of pants to you. The reason is they're custom made. We have to make a custom pattern and a block. We have to laser cut that as per your specifications. We need to monogram the pant, if you ask for your initials. We do very stringent quality control, and then the shipping and logistics also takes, could take up to 5 days depending on which part of the country. But tier one cities it's normally 1 or 2 days, and rural or tier two, 2 or 3 days. But it's good to see all of you on the live, and going to be doing this Fridays, 5 p.m. every 15 days. So thanks for joining us, and hope to see you live next time. The drop you're going to see soon is a super cool collection of shorts. So we've gone forward with the idea of shorts that we talked about in the last live, and you should be really excited for the new shorts collection that's going to launch later this month. So look out for that, and yeah, shoot us any questions you may have, and thanks for joining this live.